Claire was excited for the flight she was about to board. It was her first time flying first class, a luxury she rarely allowed herself. She had worked hard over the past few months, and this was her treat. As she settled into her comfortable seat, she looked around and noticed that the cabin was almost full. Well-dressed people with their laptops and champagne glasses were preparing for a smooth journey. That's when Claire noticed a woman in worn-out clothes and a tired expression being escorted by a flight attendant to one of the seats beside her. The contrast between the woman and the other passengers was striking. As soon as the woman sat down, a few curious and uncomfortable glances were cast her way. Claire felt a wave of discomfort in the cabin, but kept her focus on her book, curious to see how the situation would unfold. A few minutes later, a well-dressed man with a look of disdain approached the homeless woman. "You're in the wrong place," he said, barely hiding his irritation. "This is a first-class seat, and clearly you don't belong here." The woman, surprised and embarrassed, looked around for support, but found only judgmental stares. The flight attendant nearby quickly intervened, checking the woman's ticket. "Sir, her ticket is valid," the flight attendant confirmed, keeping calm. "She has every right to be here, just like you." The man, visibly displeased, huffed and returned to his seat, casting one last look of disdain at the woman. Claire, watching the scene, felt a mix of indignation and compassion. She knew she had to do something to show that not everyone in that cabin shared the same prejudice. Claire leaned toward the woman and offered a warm smile. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. The woman, still shaken from the confrontation, nodded timidly. I just wasn't expecting that," the woman replied in a soft voice. Sensing the woman's discomfort, Claire decided to do everything she could to make the flight more pleasant for her. "Don't worry, some people forget that kindness costs nothing," Claire said, trying to reassure her. The woman relaxed a little, appreciating the unexpected support. They began to talk, and Claire was touched as she listened to the woman's story, who had faced hard times but still held on to a strong sense of dignity. The connection between the two grew quickly, and Claire realized that her small act of kindness was making a big difference. While Claire and the woman talked, the disgruntled passenger remained silent, clearly irritated by the situation. What he didn't know, however, was that another important person was paying attention to everything that was happening. The CEO of the company he was interviewing for was seated a few rows away, closely observing the behavior of everyone involved. The CEO, a man known for valuing empathy and character, had planned this flight as an opportunity to assess candidates in a real-world situation. He had instructed the crew to allow the homeless woman to board in first class, knowing it would bring out the true character of the surrounding passengers. And now, as he watched everything unfold, he was taking mental notes on who was standing out and who was failing the test. As the flight continued, the tension in the cabin eased. The homeless woman, now more comfortable, chatted happily with Claire, who made sure to include her in all interactions with the flight attendants. In contrast, the arrogant passenger isolated himself, visibly unhappy with how things had turned out. He kept checking his watch, eager for the flight to end. The CEO, on the other hand, continued to observe in silence. Every gesture from Claire, every look of disdain from the other passenger, was being carefully analyzed. He knew the true test wasn't in a resume or a formal interview, but in how each candidate treated the people around them, especially those who couldn't offer anything in return. And with each passing minute, the decision on who would be hired became clearer. As the flight neared its destination, the flight attendant approached the homeless woman and Claire. "Can I get you anything else?" he asked, maintaining a friendly and respectful tone. Claire smiled and asked for a coffee, while the woman, now more confident, accepted a juice. The flight attendant made sure to fulfill their requests with the same attention and care he gave to the other passengers, showing that to him, everyone deserved the same treatment. Meanwhile, the arrogant passenger impatiently gestured to the flight attendant. "When are we landing? I need to get off this plane," he said, not hiding his displeasure. The attendant calmly explained that there wasn't much time left before landing. The CEO, watching the interaction, finally made his decision. The behavior of each passenger had spoken louder than any interview could have. When the plane finally landed, the passengers began to stand up and gather their luggage. Claire helped the woman retrieve her bag, exchanging smiles and wishing her well. As the arrogant passenger quickly left the cabin, the CEO asked him to wait for a moment. "I'd like to have a word with you," the CEO said in a tone that left no room for refusal. The man stopped, surprised, and followed the CEO to a more private area of the airport. There, the CEO formally introduced himself and explained that the flight had been part of a character test. "The way you treated that woman, without even knowing her, says a lot about who you are," the CEO said. "And unfortunately, it's not the kind of person we want in our company." The arrogant passenger, speechless, saw his opportunity disappear in a matter of seconds. Meanwhile, Claire, unaware of what was happening, was waiting for her luggage when the CEO approached her. "I saw how you acted during the flight," he said with a genuine smile. Claire was surprised, not quite understanding what was happening. The CEO then explained that he was evaluating candidates for an important position in his company and that her behavior had stood out. "I'd like to invite you for an interview," he said. "We need people like you who value empathy and human dignity." Claire was speechless for a moment, absorbing what she had just heard. She had never imagined that a simple act of kindness could lead to such a significant opportunity. Smiling, she accepted the invitation, feeling that something truly special was happening. In the days that followed, Claire went through the interview process with the CEO and his team. During the process, it became clear that her empathy and ability to handle different human situations were exactly what the company was looking for. Every question was answered with sincerity and authenticity, reflecting the same attitude she had shown on the flight. The CEO, impressed, knew he had found the right person for the job. Meanwhile, the arrogant passenger reflected on what had happened. The job rejection made him realize that his actions had consequences. Although it was too late for that opportunity, he began to understand the importance of treating everyone with respect, regardless of their circumstances. Perhaps it was the lesson he needed to learn to change his behavior in the future. A few weeks later, Claire was officially hired by the company. She began working in an environment where her qualities were valued and where she could make a difference every day. The experience on the flight not only brought her a career opportunity, but also reinforced her belief in the power of kindness. She continued to treat everyone with the same respect and empathy, knowing that every small gesture can have a big impact. And the homeless woman? Claire never saw her again, but she will always remember her as the person who unknowingly changed the course of her life. The story of that flight stayed with Claire, a constant reminder that in any situation, character and empathy are the qualities that truly matter. And for everyone reading or hearing this story, the question remains, what about you? Have you done a good deed today? Dear viewers, if you like the story, please like the video and subscribe to the channel to support us.